Yes, welcome. Day one review World Cup. We're gonna try to do one of these every day. Have a little information for you about the matches that happen and also have a look to matches to come. So first and foremost, today we had Russia playing Saudi Arabia. Score was 5-0 to Russia. Uh, Gazinski in the 12th, Shereshev the substitute, four substitute in the first half, came in, had goals in the 43rd and 91st. Zuba came in super sub as well, had a goal in the 71st, and Golovin, my man of the match for today's game, had a goal in the 94th from a beautiful free kick. Um, for me, the key players today were Gazinski. I thought he was a solid presence in the midfield throughout. Also got a goal, which was actually his first for his country, which should be amazing for him to have his first goal for his country in the World Cup. That's pretty awesome. Golovin, I thought, was Russia's only, true attacking threat throughout the game. Um, Shereshev did come in and have two brilliant moments for two goals, but I thought that everything that was good about Russia's play today had to go through Golovin, and the 22-year-old definitely showed maturity beyond his years. Thought he had a silly yellow card in the second half that might come back to hurt them because I think this is going to be really tight for the second place for this group. I did pick Egypt to go through with Uruguay from this group, but I'm not going to let the 5-love today change my opinion. I do think that playing a better team, Russia's deficiencies will show up a little bit more. Saudi Arabia, what can I say? The coach, the Chilean coach, well, actually he's not Chilean, he's Argentinian, I believe. Um, Pizzi, who used to coach Chile, actually, he has his work cut out because they need to be more expansive in possession. Too many passes were 5 yard, 6 yard passes in little triangles in the middle of the park, not going anywhere. And I think that Russia, a better team would have scored more than 5 goals today. Russia did have a couple of beauties that maybe they won't score on another day, but I thought there were many other plays where they just made a bad run or didn't have the right pass and it kind of killed the counter attack. But I think against a better counter attacking side like the other two teams in the group, Saudi Arabia will have big trouble. I think they have a couple of bright spots. Well, I'd say one mainly, the number 7 player, Al Faraj. He looked to be pretty accomplished in possession. Um, and the number 18 player, Al Dasari, as well, looked like he had a little bit of technical quality too. Um, let's see. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think Russia moving forward, they will be found out against a better attacking team. Um, I think Uruguay and Egypt. The funny things about those games, I think for Uruguay game especially, I think Uruguay likes to play on the counter, and I think Russia also likes to play on the counter. So I think it's going to be kind of fun to see what team kind of goes at the other team first in that game. I think in the Egypt game, I think the protagonists will be the Egyptians, and I think that Russia will prefer that. But I do think that Egypt will have enough quality in the end to get over the line with Russia. So I still think Uruguay and Egypt will get through. Speaking about Uruguay and Egypt, they have their first game tomorrow. It's the early game tomorrow. Key players for me, obviously Suarez and Cavani up front. Cavani coming into this World Cup after a good season with Paris Saint-Germain, Golden Boot again in France, and also had 10 goals in CONMEBOL to lead the South American qualifying campaign. Key player for me, was instrumental in knocking out my beloved Arsenal from the Europa League in the semi-finals. Diego Godin, one of the best players for me at the centre back. Probably not the most glorious or flashy defender, like I say, a Ramos or a Piqué with a little more style. Godin just gets the job done. Always in the right spot. Will go into a challenge, go into a header where he could be really have some damage done to himself. He doesn't care. He's going in for that ball. So, Godin, I think, is one of the best at centre back for me. And I think this year for Uruguay, what's going to help them a lot is in the midfield, it seems like they have had a cycle of new players coming through. They have two in particular that I want to point out. Rodrigo Betancourt, who plays for Juventus, 20 years old, and Lucas Torreira, 22 years old, who plays for Sampdoria currently, but is heavily linked, and I think the deal actually may have gone through today to move to Arsenal to play in centre of midfield. These two young guys, I think, is something that Uruguay has missed in the past when they get to those later stages of the tournament, and they don't really have the legs, I feel, in midfield to keep the same sort of press that they do in the earlier games where they're so effective. And I think having some youth in that midfield will help. And of course, they have experience in the right areas. Muslera is heavily capped goalkeeper. Godin, Jimenez play together at Atletico Madrid. Also, a lot of caps for them. Godin especially. And then up front with Cavani and Suarez. That's a lot of goals, a lot of caps. And I think in the right places they have some youth. So I think Uruguay is a good shout for a dark horse team, especially in this group where they should be considered the favorites. As far as Egypt is concerned, my key players, of course, can't say enough about him. The Egyptian Messi, Egyptian King, Mo Salah, 33 in 57 for Egypt, a great record as well. What can I say about him? Incredible player, cuts in from the right, can finish pretty much with the best of them. Skill on the ball, good technique in tight spaces. Very accurate shot. Has all kind of different shots, power, placement, finesse. It just an accomplished attacking player, and I think he's gonna have a great World Cup. Only thing for me is how fit is he. The coach has come out and said 100% he'll play. There's speculation if he will start the game or if they'll bring him in the second half. I would love to see him try to start the game. I believe he's probably fitness-wise. It's just whether he has the confidence to play with the shoulder injury. So we'll see. Other key players for Egypt: Mohamed El Neni, Arsenal midfielder. He'll be called upon to have a big game for them and a big World Cup. Fatih, the vice captain, also should be relied upon. El Mohammadi, long-time player in the Premier League, is there as well. And probably another huge story for them is their goalkeeper, who is 45 years old, El Hadari. If he does play, and he should probably be playing, he's the captain of the team, he'll be the oldest player ever at the World Cup. So that will be quite remarkable. My prediction for this game for tomorrow, I think that Uruguay in the end will have a little bit more experience when it comes down to it in the first World Cup game, and I think Egypt will play well, but I think Uruguay in the end will be a bit much for them, and it will be a 2-1 scoreline to Uruguay tomorrow. Mo Salah to get off the mark. Morocco versus Iran. You have the Lions of the Atlas versus Team Melli. Morocco here. I think both of these teams can probably consider themselves a bit unlucky with the draw. I think Morocco, especially in another group in this particular World Cup, could fancy their chances to get through to the second round. They have a lot of good players. Belanda, for one, will be wearing the number 10 shirt for them. Look for him to be the catalyst coming through midfield. They have a youngster that got some time with the first team at Real Madrid this year, Achraf Hakimi. Not a large amount of caps for the team, but he's only 19, so that makes sense. I think he should figure on the right back role for them. Mehdi Benatia, the captain, Juventus player, probably, rumors that he's probably linked elsewhere, so he'll want to have a good showing in this cup to see where he can land next year in the European season. And Nordin Amrabat, who has been playing in England for, I'd say, the last 5 years or so, for various teams, usually lower in the league teams. He'll also feature as well. So Morocco have a few players that play around Europe, a lot of Dutch league players. So they have a bit of European pedigree, so I think they should fare pretty well. But again, when you have Portugal and Spain in your group, there's really all you can do is hope and pray. Uh, for Iran, team pretty much mostly players based at home, but they have quite a few players also in the smaller leagues in Europe, some Dutch league players, a couple of players that ply their trade in Germany. So, but I will talk about one of their players, Ali Jahan Bakash. Jahan Bakash. I believe that's how you say it, Ali Hush, if I don't say it right. But he did this season get the golden boot in the Dutch league with AZ Alkmaar. 33 appearances, 21 goals. Also contributed 14 assists. So he's a winger, similar to kind of a Salah type of player. Plays from the wing, likes to set up and also score goals. And clearly he's an accomplished goal scorer, winning the golden boot this season. Only has 4 goals for his country in 38 caps, but I think that has more to do with the fact that he was never really the focal point for Iran in years past, and I think that will change going into this World Cup. To look for him to have a decent World Cup as well. He'll be looking to probably move on from AZ Alkmaar to a bigger club, so that's pretty typical when you have a player going into the World Cup who is at a club where maybe he'd want to make that next step. He's 24 years old now, so maybe he'll want to impress. So my prediction for this game will be a 1-0 scoreline for Morocco. I believe that they have a little bit more pedigree coming into this game. I just see them getting over the line. Very compact defensive team Morocco is, so I think they're gonna bunker down and just basically stop all threats from Iran and get a goal sometime in the match that they'll be able to control the rest of the game. So I think it'll be a 1-0 scoreline to Morocco. Next up, obviously the Battle of Iberia, Portugal versus Spain. Now this is the type of matchup where you'd be happy to see it in maybe the semi-final or the quarter-final, but we get to see it on the first game of the tournament. So I know from the past experience, I know Spain, the last time I can remember they had a game that was this big in their first game was when they played the Dutch and received the 5-1. So I know that they'll be up for this game and not wanting a repeat of 2014's first game. This game is going to be amazing. I believe it will be one of the picks of the group stage games, and I think a part of it just has to do with the subplots. You have Sergio Ramos going against his club mate Cristiano Ronaldo. You have Spain sacking their manager 48 hours before the game leading up to the first game of the World Cup. You have a team in Portugal that won the European Championships, and I feel similar to when Greece won the Euro Championship, get no respect. I think that people have downplayed the fact that they are champs and have pretty much written them off in this game, and I think that is a mistake. I think when you look at Portugal's team, they have the strength in defense necessary to hold up in a tournament like this. The guys may be a little older, but I think the way that they play, kind of caters to that older defense. They don't really overextend themselves when they attack. They don't attack in large numbers. They usually have pretty good cover around the back, and I think that usually keeps them in good stead. And I think that the defenders are experienced enough to stay in positions where they're not too exposed, and I think that will come into play. Also, I think the way Spain play with their slower build-ups from time to time will suit a team like Portugal, who would like to keep you in front of them. I think the key tomorrow will be whoever I was going to say Lopetegui, but whoever Hierro decides to choose to play up front, whether it's Diego Costa or Rodrigo, I think are his two main options up front. I think it will be key for them to try and make runs in behind the defense, because I think at times Portugal will try to just keep Spain in front of them, and Spain won't mind to play those passes in front of them, as you know. So I think the key to tomorrow's game for Spain will be to get in behind. So tomorrow for Spain, for Portugal, clearly everyone's eyes are going to be on Cristiano Ronaldo. He is a big game player. Seems to always find a way to score a goal, regardless of his performance in a match. And I think going into tomorrow, I don't expect any different. I think, his form for club has been a bit indifferent this season for his standard. Definitely in the league and in the domestic league and cup. But in the Champions League, he was pretty much himself throughout. Just had some great performances. Didn't have a great game in the final of the Champions League, but leading up to then was really doing the business. For tomorrow's game, I do think that the key player for me in the whole equation will be Bernardo Silva. I think that he's a player that does not get the credit that's due to him. I think he definitely didn't get enough credit for their run to the Euro final and the win in the last tournament. If you remember, Ronaldo got hurt in the final, did not take part for the rest of the game. I thought Bernardo Silva, showed what a critical player he is to that national team in that final, just putting in a great shift. And so I think coming into this World Cup, coming off of the back of a Premier League winning season where he was, on the fringes of the starting lineup, but in spots, solidified that he was a big part of the team. I think that he will be immense for them tomorrow and in this World Cup in general. But I do see tomorrow's game ending in a draw. I think both teams will get a couple of goals. I think it'll be a 2-2 draw. Wouldn't be surprised if Ronaldo got one of those two. And I think that we can expect a game that will be, very, very hard, tough fought. I think a lot of cards will probably be shown in this game. But I think there will be some goals. And I think it will be a 2-2 game, pretty exciting. And, let's hope for that at least. But that's what I think is going to happen. And again, I think that, the key to tomorrow will be, can Spain get in behind Portugal? And for Portugal, they need to make their counter-attacks count. They need to make sure that they are connecting those passes in transition when they do turn over Spain in midfield or even in their defensive third. And they do it quickly. And I think one of the keys tomorrow will be if the youngster, the 21-year-old Guedes, gets a chance to play up front. Andre Silva has not been really playing well for Milan. Saw Guedes play their last, I think it was their last friendly, and he looked very speedy, looked to be a tidy finisher as well. And I think that his speed, coupled with Ronaldo's speed and Bernardo Silva's passing, could be a key to success in the counter-attack. So we'll see if he gets the nod. Andre Silva would be a good shout as well. He seems to always play well for them, had a decent Euros goal scoring wise, so maybe he can find some form for the World Cup. But I do think tomorrow's game will be exciting, 2-2 as I said, and look forward to these videos throughout the World Cup. Let me know, give me the feedback how it sound. But yeah, I just feel like I talk enough about this stuff to everybody who talks to me or wants to listen. I might as well just put this out, and when you call me, we just continue in the conversation. So yeah, signing off is me, Jason Hall. Know everything about football and pretty much most sports. Just ask about me. Yeah, and it was fun, the first one. And like I said, we're going to do this every day. I like a review and I like a preview of the World Cup action. Signing off, me. Big up.